YouTube family, welcome back to another video. As always, if it's your first time, welcome to my channel, and if you would subscribe, like, comment, share if you enjoy what I say through this video, and also know that I have many other videos you can watch. My name is Eunice Sombere Global. I am a relationship coach certified under Benjamin Zulu here in Nairobi, Kenya. For today's video, I want to talk about a war that has been happening. And by war, I don't mean literal war, but I am talking about the war between millennials and Gen Z. If there's a time people have talked about the difference in generations, it is this time. The conversation between Gen Z being this, millennials being that. I am a millennial. I grew up in my childhood was in the 90s. My teenagehood was in the 2000s, and my youth of my 20s and onwards was in the 2010s. Yeah, so that's the times I grew up. Millennial, loved being a millennial, loved growing up, enjoying what outside feels like. No technology. Technology came way later when I was of age of understanding. And Gen Zs were born in a different era when phones were there. Some Gen Zs are born in, if I'm not wrong, it's 1997 onwards. Yeah, some of them, their phones were not out, depending on the nation you are living in. Here in Kenya, phones are not yet there, especially digital-wise. So it just depends, but either way, Gen Zs born in 1997 were kids, young kids by the time it was 2000 when phone came to Kenya. Why am I talking about the war between Gen Z and millennials? It's because Gen Zs are ending up dating millennials, and millennials are wanting to date Gen Zs, but we are two different generations. Most of the millennials are in their 30s onwards to their 40s. Millennials are not what Gen Zs would call young. We are basically, according to the Gen Zs, we are old. But I don't blame them for having that mentality, because when I was young, I found anyone in their 30s to be immensely old. Now that I am in my 30s, I do not I wouldn't declare I'm old, not because I want to still be young, but I just feel like 30 is not the epitome of old. For me, old is from 70s onwards, especially 80 and onwards. That's when I call old, because many times people in their 70s, they're still very well capable of understanding. I don't know what happens towards the 80s onwards. That's when things start to go down, but it's not with everyone, and I declare that shall not happen to my parents. When it comes to dating a generation that is different, it's the same way as dating someone from a tradition that is different. So from dating someone who is from a religion that is different from yours. It's dating someone who is from a different culture from yours. It's like dating someone from a different country from yours. The mindsets are two very different mindsets, and that's what I want to do this video about: dating different generations. And I'm going to go with millennials and the Gen Zs. I am not one to judge people's moral code. I believe in living a right moral code, but I do not judge people who live different moral codes. That is generally up to you. Life is a choice. Even God gave us free will. He told us to choose right, but it is up to us to choose. That is just a disclaimer on who I am as an individual when I speak to people. But generally, if you're going to be a millennial dating a Gen Z, the age gap is from 10 years onwards. Those are two very different generations, 10 years and onwards. And your mindsets are very different. If some millennials grew up from 1981 to 1996. If I am wrong, I will put it down here, just because Sometimes I forget. And then Gen Z from 1997. If I am not wrong, it was up to 2012. Again, I said I will find out that information. So are you seeing the very different generations? To someone hearing me, you're thinking 1980s Stone Age. I get it. Yeah, it was a long time ago. So imagine you're coming with someone who doesn't think like you. There's this war how when you're dating a millennial and they don't know how to put emojis. We grew up when phones came out, we only had SMSs. We did not have WhatsApp. WhatsApp came way later. So we used to find ways to make emojis. We would put the full colon and a bracket for a smiley face. I'll put some down below. I'll put some to just show you. So we had to be creative. And remember, from when we were kids, we were creative. We didn't have technology of toys like today. Yes, the PS was there. The PS1 had come out at some point. Yes, there was the PS2 at another point. But still, those were luxuries of the rich. So now we didn't have much. So we were a very creative generation. And we didn't have things that wasted our time. You know how you can scroll on your phone for hours and hours and hours and hours? We didn't have that. We had to be creative with our time. So we made good use of our time as millennials. We had to do everything from scratch to play, create a ball to play. When we were playing catties, we were playing rounders, when we were playing house, everything was pure and utter creativity, and everything had to be done from scratch. So every game we played was from scratch. Today there are so many games that children can play. The world has been made so much easier. Gen Z grew up in an age where there was phones, so they could play Snake. Then later on they could play the PS2 onto the PS3, and then on to the PS4. Now those are things that came in our adulthood as millennials. I'm just trying to show you the different, so you understand your man who is a millennial, and you as a man, you understand your woman who's a Gen Z. You are very different. Millennials don't waste time. We do not have time to waste. And we are so grown and mature because, number one, we were brought up to survive. That is the mentality of a millennial. It is survival. We were told to obey. We were taught to obey. We did not know how to be defiant. If we were defiant, we were the black sheep. Defiance was rare. And by the time someone in the millennial stage chose to be defiant, they have really decided, I do not care. It was literally, I do not care. Those are not things that are common. That is why I'm not saying millennials don't come out for maandamano, but that is why you find that many millennials would stay at home during maandamano, because we were never taught to be defiant. Even we grew up in the Moi era. Please remember that we grew up under dictatorship. And we were taught that we should never talk about politics in public, because you never know if you shall be carried and the next thing you wake up, you're in a basement, in a dungeon, if you know what I mean. So we never knew defiance. That is a very new thing. And I am not saying there were not people who were defiant. They were. But again, those were rare. So you're dealing with a person whose mentality is very different. You will say they are backward. You say they do not believe in justice. You say they do not believe in standing for their rights. We did not know what standing for your rights was. We grew up where our parents were in relationships and they couldn't leave because it was taboo to leave a relationship. You would not find your parents, you find your parents could be going through a lot in a relationship, in their marriage, but they would never leave. You saw your mother staying in situations and you wonder, why isn't this lady leaving? Because this is what she grew up seeing. I just want you to understand different kind of generations. And I'm not saying millennials should stay stuck in the past. It's just sometimes changing your mentality from one thing to another is not easy. If you making change to change something in your life is not easy, you cannot blame a generation for being stuck in their ways. Change is not easy. Should it happen? Yes. Is it easy? No. So if you're going to choose to date out of your generation, you're not going to date your fellow Gen Z, you're not going to date your fellow millennial, it is good that you understand that you're going to be very different. One will be stuck in their ways, one will be more flexible. If you come to a place of understanding and accept the person as they are, be gracious to that person will start to learn your ways. But if you're trying to force them to be who you are as a person, now you even make the person stay more stuck in who they are as a human being. I hope in this video I am making sense. At the end of the day, you have chosen to date this person who is different. That's why I started with, it's like dating someone from a different tradition, someone from a different culture, someone from a different tribe, and someone from a different country, someone even from a different race. You will not think the same. You will be very different. Your mannerisms will be different. You will realize that millennials truly obey their elders. But there's also been change. Millennials saw so much growing up, and they had to be obedient. They couldn't talk back. They couldn't do things that they wanted to do because they had to obey those who are older than them. So you find today that many millennials do not even want to be loyal, to be faithful, to stick in relationships. That's why you find millennials are getting married in their 30s, because they did not want to make the same mistakes they saw the generation past. They're going through, if there's a generation that has gone through trauma, it is millennials. And this is not the trauma of mental health. And I'm not looking down on mental health and stuff. This is trauma of childhood. Millennials were beaten like no one's business. Am I saying Gen Zs were unbeaten? No. But millennials, there was no... And today, someone outside of the family beat a Gen Z or beat a Gen Alpha. That is a case. Millennials grew up in the times when anyone in the community could beat you. If you did something wrong, you are beaten by the community. Your mom comes home, I really disciplined your child today, and your mom will be grateful. Thank you very much for showing my child the way. Today, that does not happen. So that's what I mean, different. So when you're dating this person of a different generation, this is where you come in and ask those questions. How should we bring up our children? How should we run this home? How should we run this? How should we do our relationship? Do not come in thinking you think the same. People I've seen on comment section saying millennials are too mature. If you show attitude and you want to say, oh, I'm not going to talk to you, literally they will not talk to you. And that is true. We've no time to waste. Many of us wasted time going through trauma, pains, and childhood, the trauma of childhood, and we didn't get into relationships when we should have in our 20s. We were really being defiant. We were showing ourselves, this is what freedom is. Finally, I do not have to be obedient. I can do what I want to do. There's no more chains on me, no more restraints. So in their 20s, millennials went ham. And then now, here in their 30s, they really want to settle down. So millennials have no time to waste. So if you're going to date a millennial, please know they are serious about it by the time. Yes, there are millennials who may never, or are not faithful, not loyal, not looking for relationships. So are Gen X's. Even there are some boomers still today who are acting like they're in their 30s. All I'm saying is, if you're going to choose to date outside of your generation, please, you need to understand them. Do not judge them for being different in their thinking. They were brought up in very different times, just the same way you were brought up in very different times. Even you Gen Z listening to me, soon the Gen Alpha and the generation after the Alphas will think you're strange.